Hello friends, this is Node Chat Application with MongoDB tutorial series, and in this part, we will learn how to validate login form data at server side, and if login data is correct, then generate JSON Web Token, and then after user can able to log into system, and based on this token, system can validate that user is login or not. In previous part, we have make login form and submit login form data by using JavaScript fetch API. Now we want to process login form data and check it that enter details is correct or not. So for this, we have goes to server file, and here we have goes into login routes. And under this, we have first add try and catch block for handle error. And this error code, we have put under this catch block. Now we have goes to try block of code, and first we want to check user has enter login form details or not. So for this, we have goes to user model file, and here, we have to define schema for login form validation. So here, we have to write constant login validation schema variable is equal to jo.object method, and under this, we have to define validation rules. First, for email address field, we have to write input field name email as key, and in value, we have to write jo.string function.email function.required function, so this code will check entered data must be in correct email format, and this field value is required for submit form data. Next, for password field, so we have to write input field name password as key, and in value, we have to write jo.string function.minimum function, with 6 as argument, .required function. So this rules will check, this password field value length must be minimum of 6 character, and this field value is required. So here, our login form validation schema is ready. Now here in export statement, we have write schema name login validation schema, so in another file, we can use this schema. Now we have goes to server file, and in header code, we have write schema name, like login validation schema. So now, this validation schema, we can use under this server file. So here, we have to write constant validation result variable is equal to login validation schema dot validate function with 2 argument. In first argument, we have to define form data, so here, we have to write request.body. And in second argument, we have to write one object, with key like abort early, with value like false. So if there is any form validation error occurs, then it will store validation error under this validation result variable. Now for check validation error, here we have to write validation result variable.error. If this condition true, that means there is validation error has been occur, and it will execute if block of code. And under this block, we have to write error message variable is equal to blank value, and under this, we will store validation error. Now we want to convert validation error into string, so for this, here we have to write validation result variable.error.details.map function, with error variable as argument. Under this function, we have to write error message variable, and under this, we have to append error message. After converting error into string format, now we want to send error to the client, so here, we have to write response.status function with 400 status code, and after this, we have to write JSON function, and in argument, we have to write object with error as key, and error message variable as value. So this code will send response to client, but suppose there is no any validation error occur, then it will execute else block of code. And here, we have to write constant open and close bracket, and between this, we have to write email and password variable is equal to request.body, so here, we have store form data under local variable. Now we want to retrieve the user record from the database based on the provided email. So here, we have to write constant user variable is equal to await keyword with user.findOne method. And under this, we have to write email variable, so it will fetch user data from database based on provided email. Now we want to check user data has found or not, so for this, we have to write if statement, and under condition, we have to write not operator with user variable. So if user data is not found, then it will execute if block of code. And here, we have to write return statement with response.status function with 401 status code. And after this, we have to write JSON function, and under argument, we have to write object with error as key, and in value, we have to write error message like invalid email address, so this error will be displayed to client. But suppose user data found, then it will execute other code, and next we want to compare user enter password with hashed formatted password store under data. So here, we have to write constant password match variable is equal to await keyword with bcrypt variable.compare function with 2 argument. In first argument, we have to write password variable. And in second parameter, we have to write user.password variable. So it will compare the hashed password stored in the database with the plain text password provided by user during login. Now we want to check that password is match or not, so here, we have to write if statement, and under condition, we have to write not operator with password match variable. If password is not match, then it will execute if block of code, and here, we have to write return statement with response.status function with 401 as argument. After this, we have to write JSON function, and in argument, we have to write object with error as key, and in value, we have to write error message like invalid password, so this error will be sent to client. But suppose password is match, then we have to generate authentication token. So for generate token, we have to download JSON Web Token library, so we have goes to terminal window. And here, we have to run npm install JSON Web Token library, so it will download this library under this our Node application. Now we have goes to server file, and here, we have to write constant jwt variable is equal to require function with JSON Web Token library name as argument, so now we can use this library under this file. Now for generate token, here we have to write constant secret key variable is equal to this key. So by using this key, we will generate token after user has successfully logged into system. Now we have goes to login code, and here for generate token, we have to write constant token variable is equal to jwt variable.sign function with 3 argument. In first argument, we have to write an object in which we have to store data under token value. So here, in key, we have to write user ID, and in value, we have to write user._ID. So here, we have store user ID data under this token. In second argument, we have to write secret key variable, and in third argument, we have to write an object with expires in ASCII, and in value, we have to write 1R, so after 1R, this token will be expired. After this, we want to change user status in database, so here we have to write user variable.status is equal to login, so we want to change user status to login. Now for save this status data in database, so we have to write await keyword with user.save function, so it will save data in MongoDB database. After this, we want to send authentication token to the client, so for this, we have to write response.status function with 200 status code, and after this, we have to write JSON function, and under argument, we have to write token variable, so it will send this data to client after successfully login into system. And after login into system, user will redirect to chat page. So for this, here we have to create chat routes. So here, we have to write app.get method with 2 parameter. In first parameter, we have to write /chat, and in second parameter, we have to write asynchronous callback function with request and response variable as parameter. Under this function, we have to write response.sendFile function, and in argument, we have to write directory name global variable, and here, we have append chat.html file. So it will load this file in the browser. Now we have create one new file with name chat.html file. And under this file, we have paste this HTML code, in which we have used Bootstrap library. Under this file, we have to write welcome message, to this message will display on web page. So here, our login code is ready. Now for checkout in browser, we have goes to terminal window. And here, we have run node server.js file, so it will start Node development server. So friends, here on web page, we can see login form on web page. And here, first we want to check validation working or not, so for this, we have directly click on login button. So here, we can see that validation error has been displayed on web page. Now we have enter wrong email address details and wrong password details. And after this, we have click on login button, and here, we can see that wrong email address error message display on web page. Now we have enter correct email address details and wrong password details. And after this, we have click on login button, and after click on button, here we can see that wrong password details like error has been displayed on web page. Now we have enter correct email address details and correct password details. After this, we have click on login button, and after click on login button, here we can see that welcome message has been displayed on web page. That means user has been successfully logged into system. So in this part, we have learned how to validation user login data, and after validate login data, and then after we have generate authentication token, and send to client. In next part, we will fetch user data from database, based on authentication, and display user name and user profile image on web page. So we will be meet in next part.